The stars looked different beyond the edge of human-charted space. Captain Arya Cade stood on the bridge of the starship Pioneer, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. The galaxy stretched in ways no human had ever seen. Nebulas shimmered with colors that seemed impossible, and distant suns blinked like distant lanterns in the black sea of the void. The Pioneer was humanity's pride, a vessel born from decades of tireless work. Its faster-than-light drive had taken 30 years to perfect, and now it carried 200 brave souls on a journey that might never bring them home. "Captain," Lieutenant Rian Cole said from the sensor station, his voice tight with concentration, "we're picking up multiple signatures ahead. They're massive." Arya turned slowly. "How massive, Lieutenant?" "Too big to be natural, Captain," Rian replied, swallowing nervously. "I don't think they're human." The tension in the room thickened, but Arya kept her posture calm. She had trained for moments like this. Before she could give more orders, the space ahead exploded with light. Ships appeared seemingly from nowhere, surrounding the Pioneer. The alien vessels dwarfed the human ship. Each one was smooth, black, and bristling with weapons that pulsed with deadly energy. Strange symbols adorned their hulls, shapes that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "Incoming transmission, Captain," said Communications Officer Lila Tran. "It's in English." Arya raised an eyebrow. "English?" The screen shimmered and a face appeared. The alien had 4 vertical eyes on an elongated head, skin shifting between purple and blue, and a vertical slit of a mouth forming human words with eerie precision. "Unidentified vessel." The alien intoned, voice cold and mechanical. "You have violated the sovereign territory of the Dominion. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate destruction." The crew's collective tension was palpable. Every eye turned to Arya. She could feel the fear thick as smoke, but she had not come this far to bow to anyone. "This is Captain Arya Cade of the human starship Pioneer," she said, voice steady. "We had no knowledge of your territory. We mean no harm, but we will not be boarded without cause. We request diplomatic contact." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a strange ripple running across its face. "You request," it said, voice sharper now. "You are in no position to request anything. Comply or die. These are your only options." Arya smiled faintly. "Then the Dominion needs better options. We are explorers, not invaders. If we've crossed a border, we apologize. But we will not surrender our ship or our freedom. Not to you, not to anyone." Silence stretched across the void. The alien's expression was unreadable, but Arya sensed confusion flicker beneath its surface. Finally, the alien spoke again, voice slightly hesitant. "No species has ever refused Dominion authority. You do not understand what you face. We have ruled this region for 10,000 of your years. Empires spanning hundreds of star systems have fallen. Your single ship is dust waiting to be scattered." Arya allowed herself a small, determined smile. "Maybe, but that dust will make you work for it. Humans have a saying, 'Give me liberty or give me death.' We didn't cross into the unknown to become someone's slaves." The transmission cut abruptly. For tense minutes, the Dominion ships held formation, weapons charged. The bridge of the Pioneer was silent except for the low hum of the engines. Arya could hear her own heartbeat. Lieutenant Cole hovered over the weapons controls, though everyone knew their arsenal would barely scratch the massive alien vessels. Then, unexpectedly, the Dominion ships shifted, creating a narrow corridor through their formation. "Captain," Lila whispered, "they're letting us through." Another transmission arrived, audio only. The alien voice carried a tone that was almost respect, perhaps curiosity. "You may depart, humans," it said, "but you have been marked. The hierarchs will want to know more about a species foolish enough to defy the Dominion." Arya straightened in her command chair. "We'll be ready," she replied. The Pioneer moved forward, passing carefully between the towering warships. The crew held their breath until the last Dominion vessel disappeared from sensors. Then laughter, nervous at first, spread across the bridge. "Captain, what just happened?" Rian asked, turning in his chair. Why did they let us go? Arya looked out at the stars ahead, exhaustion softening her posture. I don't know. Maybe they weren't expecting anyone to say no. Maybe they wanted to study us before deciding. Or maybe they simply don't know what to do when someone isn't afraid. Lila pulled up navigation charts. Captain, if that was their territory and it's as vast as they claim, we'll have to cross it again to get home. I know, Arya said quietly. Send a message to Earth. Tell them everything that happened here. They need to know about the Dominion. She stood and addressed the crew. What we did today might have been foolish. We might have just painted a target on humanity's back. But I won't apologize. Our ancestors crossed oceans and continents not to bow to the first bully they met. Neither will we. The crew nodded, fear giving way to something stronger. Pride, resolve, perhaps even hope. As the Pioneer continued its journey into unknown space, none aboard realized the ripple they had caused. In the Dominion's command centers, reports were being written, debates stirring, as a single primitive vessel had defied the Empire and survived. Humanity had crossed into the Dominion and remained unshaken. The question now was whether the Dominion itself could remain unshaken by them. Inquisitor Velric had served the Dominion for over 3 centuries. He had evaluated hundreds of species, deciding which were useful, which were dangerous, and which were destined for assimilation into the Dominion's vast empire. No species had ever defied the Dominion and lived, until now. Velric's ship approached a small blue and green planet the humans called Earth. Preliminary scans showed a world scarred by wars, a civilization barely past its atomic age, and a population that had survived near destruction multiple times. By every logical measure, humans should have welcomed the Dominion's order. And yet they had not. Velric landed his ship near a city humans called Geneva. Nervous diplomats greeted him, their uniforms plain but organized. Ambassador Owen Chun, an older man with graying hair and sharp eyes, stepped forward. Welcome to Earth, Inquisitor, Chun said, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. We're honored to host you. Velric studied him carefully. Ambassador, you should be terrified. Do you understand what the Dominion is? Do you comprehend the power we wield? Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. We've read your reports. 10,000 years of history, millions of worlds, countless species under your control. Remarkable, truly. Velric's 4 eyes narrowed. Then you understand the consequence of defiance. Resistance is futile. Chun nodded thoughtfully. We understand that you want us to think resistance is futile. Inside, Velric activated a holographic display. Massive fleets, cities on hundreds of worlds, and footage of civilizations crushed under Dominion rule filled the air. Human diplomats watched silently as orbital bombardments and occupations unfolded before them. No, this is what awaits those who defy us, Velric said. Submit now. Integrate peacefully, and your species can thrive under our guidance. Refuse and face annihilation. Chun studied the footage, then approached the holographic projector. May I? He asked. Velric allowed it, curious. The images shifted. Human history unfolded in the air. Wars, revolutions, disasters, and countless moments of struggle. Humans rising again and again, refusing to accept domination, even by their own governments, even against impossible odds. This is who we are, Chun said quietly. We've been conquered before and we've broken free every time. Sometimes it took generations, sometimes lifetimes. But we always reclaim our freedom. Velric felt an unfamiliar sensation, a shadow of doubt. You are being irrational. We offer survival, safety, comfort. Chun shook his head. You call it comfort. We call it prison. Humans do not thrive in prisons, no matter how comfortable you make them. A younger historian, Dr. Naomi Park, spoke up. In all your thousands of years, Inquisitor, how many species have joined the Dominion willingly? Velric's eyes flickered. Few, if any. The Dominion's strength is why species submit. They see our power and make the logical choice. Exactly, Dr. Park replied firmly. None have joined willingly. All have submitted out of fear. You haven't built an empire, you've built a prison. And you are its guards. Velric paused. No one had ever spoken to him this way, calmly and without fear. Chun continued. You prevent chaos. But in doing so, you prevent freedom. And that is the one thing humans value more than safety, more than comfort, sometimes more than life itself. Velric spent 3 weeks on Earth, observing humans in their cities and cultures. He saw passionate arguments and disagreements, yet noticed their ability to cooperate when needed. He observed art, music, and stories celebrating resistance, individuality, and courage. He met soldiers who would rather die than surrender, teachers who refused to stop asking questions, and children who dreamed of exploring the stars as free people, not subjects. Each encounter challenged his belief that fear and authority could control a species. In his final meeting with Ambassador Chun, Velric's voice carried a rare weight of concern. You are going to make this difficult, he admitted. Chun nodded. We don't mean to. We just cannot be what you want us to be. We cannot stop being human just because it would be easier for everyone. Velric returned to his ship and prepared his report. He had evaluated countless species in his life, but never had he filed one like this. His conclusion was simple and terrifying. Humanity cannot be conquered through fear. Threats do not break their spirit. They harden it. They evolved on a harsh world, constantly fighting for survival, and it shaped them into an unbreakable species. He added a final note. Recommend immediate quarantine of human space. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. This species is unconquerable. As his ship left Earth's orbit, Velric looked back at the blue planet. It was not fear he felt exactly, but respect, and perhaps something more. A deep concern for what would happen when the Dominion's hierarchs realized that humans might be a threat they could not dominate. The humans had crossed into Dominion space and remained unshaken. And now the question was whether the Dominion itself could remain unshaken by them. In the grand halls of the Dominion's capital, light shimmered across crystalline walls, casting prismatic reflections on the 7 hierarchs seated in their ancient chairs. Each was a founding species of the Dominion, ancient beings who had ruled thousands of worlds for millennia. The council chamber was silent, the weight of Inquisitor Velric's report filling the room. One simple truth echoed through the minds of the hierarchs. A primitive species had defied the Dominion and survived. This is unacceptable, Hierarch Vexnal said finally, voice deep and resonant. A species refuses our authority, and we do nothing? Velric bowed respectfully. I have recommended quarantine, but the humans cannot be subdued by traditional methods. Fear strengthens them. Threats do not break them. Hierarch Molar, her crystalline body chiming faintly, spoke next. If we allow this defiance, what message does it send to our vassal species? Rebellion could spread. Vexnal's long fingers tapped the arm of his chair. Our wisdom lies in maintaining order. If we permit the humans to continue unchecked, others may think defiance possible. A vote was called. 5 hierarchs favored immediate action. 2 opposed. The decision was clear. The Dominion would demonstrate its power with a surgical strike against humanity. Battle Commander Zarnoth, a veteran of countless conquests, received his orders with complete confidence. 200 warships, bristling with energy weapons and missile arrays, were deployed. His target, human colonies in the outer asteroid belt of their 4th planet. Zarnoth surveyed the tactical hologram of the mining colonies. Tiny stations hollowed out of asteroids, connected by fragile tubes. Fewer than 50 small ships, mostly mining vessels and cargo haulers, populated the area. Resistance seemed impossible. Within hours, the Dominion expected complete surrender. He activated a communications channel to the largest station. A human appeared on the view screen, floating in zero gravity, her uniform plain but functional. I am Colony Administrator Rita Hayes, she said. You are Battle Commander Zarnoth. We are miners. We have no weapons. We will not surrender. Zarnoth frowned. You cannot resist. You are unarmed. Your destruction is inevitable. Rita's expression was calm, almost defiant. Then you'll have to take us by force. Watch us. Without warning, the mining ships launched clouds of debris and ore at the Dominion fleet. The shrapnel barely scratched the massive vessels, but it created sensor interference. Cargo haulers then accelerated directly at Zarnoth's ships, not firing weapons, but ramming at full speed. "They're using their ships as missiles," shouted Zarnoth's tactical officer. "They are evacuating and attacking at the same time." Chaos erupted in the Dominion formation. The humans' unorthodox tactics, combined with sheer unpredictability, forced Zarnoth to adapt quickly. His orders, honed over centuries of conquering disciplined armies, faltered against a species that did not follow expected patterns. Meanwhile, Captain Arya Cade, aboard the Pioneer, monitored the situation from a distance. Her crew watched in tense silence as reports from the outer colonies came in. Human ingenuity, courage, and improvisation were holding the Dominion at bay. Arya addressed her crew. "This is what we do. We survive and we fight with whatever we have. The Dominion expects fear. We give them resistance." The outer colonies continued their audacious assault. Mining vessels rammed, debris clouds swirled, and improvised explosives detonated near Dominion hulls. Though small, the humans forced Zarnoth to retreat and regroup. He could not comprehend a species that seemed unbreakable. Back on the Dominion capital, the hierarchs reviewed the unfolding reports with growing unease. Vexnel's claws drummed against the crystalline table. "How can such primitive beings resist? Our fleets are overwhelming, our weapons unmatched, yet they do not bend." Moeller's crystalline eyes reflected uncertainty. Perhaps Velric was correct. Fear does not control them. Threats only harden their resolve. Vexnel leaned back in his chair, staring at the star charts. "We must adapt. If we underestimate them, the very stability of our vassals could be at risk. Humanity may become a problem larger than any we have faced in 10,000 years. Velric's voice, calm but firm, cut through the tension. "They are unlike any species we have encountered. They cannot be conquered by traditional means. They value freedom above all else, and that makes them dangerous but also extraordinary." Zarnoth's fleet, forced to withdraw, carried the first taste of human defiance back to Dominion space. Reports emphasized one glaring reality. Humans did not fight like any other species. They were unpredictable, fearless, and unyielding. For Captain Arya and her crew, the success of the outer colonies was proof of a larger truth. Humanity could not be crushed with fear, intimidation, or overwhelming force. Each victory, small though it might seem, fueled a growing determination. On the bridge of the Pioneer, Arya stood tall. "This is only the beginning. They may have power, but they do not understand us. We will survive. We will continue our journey. And we will not bow to anyone." The stars stretched endlessly ahead. The humans had crossed into Dominion space, survived the first encounter, and proved that their spirit was unbreakable. Behind them, the Dominion began to understand that this species might be the first it could not control. And for the first time in centuries, the Empire faced a dilemma it had never expected. How do you dominate a species that refuses to be dominated? The first clash. The asteroid colonies were small, scattered, and seemingly insignificant. Hollowed-out rocks and prefabricated stations connected by narrow tubes floated quietly in the blackness of space. But to the Dominion, these colonies were a nuisance, minor worlds that needed swift submission. Battle Commander Zarnoth's fleet of 200 warships approached, their massive weapons casting ominous glows across the asteroids. He expected instant compliance. A few hours, perhaps a day, and the humans would surrender. That was the way the Dominion always worked. Show overwhelming power, and the weaker species fall in line. A communication channel opened. On the screen appeared a woman floating in zero gravity, her uniform simple but tidy. "I am Colony Administrator Rita Hayes," she said, voice calm. "You are Battle Commander Zarnoth. We are miners. We have no weapons. We will not surrender." Zarnoth blinked at the screen. "You cannot resist. You have no defenses. Your destruction is inevitable." Rita's gaze was steady. Then you'll have to take us by force. Watch us. The Dominion fleet, confident and vast, opened fire. Energy blasts streaked through the void, aimed at the tiny stations. The humans had no shields, no weapons, only ingenuity and grit. And then the unexpected happened. Mining vessels, loaded with ore and debris, launched themselves toward the fleet at incredible speed. Clouds of shattered rock and metal filled the sensors of Dominion ships, creating massive interference. Small cargo haulers accelerated straight into enemy vessels. Not firing, not dodging, simply ramming with all their might. "They're using their ships as missiles," one Dominion officer shouted. "They are attacking while evacuating." Zarnoth barked orders, trying to regroup, but the humans were unpredictable. Their tactics made no sense by Dominion logic. Yet every move they made caused delays, forcing Dominion ships to maneuver, slowing their advance, creating openings for more daring human strikes. Inside the largest station, Rita coordinated the defense. "Launch debris clouds from the side tunnels. Concentrate the haulers on the lead ships," she commanded. Her team moved quickly, making the most of what little they had. Improvised explosives detonated near enemy hulls, adding chaos to the battlefield. Elsewhere, Captain Arya Cade and the Pioneer watched from a distance, monitoring the colony's status. "They're doing exactly what I expected," she said to her crew. "They're showing us that we don't need guns to fight. Ingenuity and courage are enough." Lieutenant Rian Cole leaned over the console. "Captain, it's working. The Dominion fleet is slowing down. They're trying to figure us out." Arya nodded. "Good. Keep monitoring. Every time they underestimate us, we learn something. Humanity survives not because we're strong, but because we refuse to be predictable." Back in the fleet, Zarnoth was growing frustrated. Every plan he had relied on obedience, fear, and overwhelming force. None of it worked. Humans did not panic, they did not scatter, and they did not yield. One of Zarnoth's officers hesitated. "Commander, they're adapting." Zarnoth's 4 eyes narrowed. "Adaptation is irrelevant. We have superior technology, superior numbers. They cannot possibly resist." And yet, resistance continued. Cargo haulers rammed the lead vessels, while mining ships tore through asteroid fields, creating obstacles. Dominion sensors picked up hundreds of unexpected debris collisions. The humans were not fighting to destroy, they were fighting to survive, and that was enough to disrupt an entire fleet. Rita's voice came through the communication channel again, calm, almost serene. "You will not take us without a fight. We are human. We survive. That is all you need to know." Zarnoth's frustration turned to disbelief. The humans were doing the impossible. Against overwhelming odds, against the logic of war itself, they resisted. The Dominion fleet was powerful, precise, and deadly. But humans were unpredictable, daring, and relentless. Captain Arya Cade turned from the console to face her crew. "This is what we are. Unpredictable, fearless, resilient. This is how humanity survives. Remember this moment." For hours, the battle raged. Dominion ships fired relentlessly, yet humans survived, dodging, ramming, and improvising. Mining vessels became weapons. Cargo haulers became missiles. Even unarmed stations turned into obstacles that slowed and confused the Dominion fleet. By the end of the encounter, the Dominion was forced to withdraw. Zarnoth's meticulously planned strike had failed. Not a single colony had surrendered. Not a single human had bowed. Inside the Pioneer, Arya let herself smile. "The first clash is over," she said. "And we are still standing." Rita Hayes floated among her crew, pride shining in her eyes. "We may be small, we may have nothing compared to them, but we have our courage. And that is enough." Across the Dominion, reports of the battle began to arrive. Hierarchs and officers alike stared at the data in disbelief. Humanity, the primitive, chaotic, unpredictable species, had survived the first strike without surrendering. Inquisitor Velric, monitoring from the Dominion capital, allowed himself the smallest of smiles. "They are exactly what I warned you about," he said. "And they are just beginning. The humans had survived their first clash with an empire that had crushed thousands of civilizations. Their defiance sent shockwaves through the Dominion hierarchy, proving one thing above all: humans could not be broken by fear. And so the stage was set for the next chapter. Humanity had survived the first clash. The Dominion would strike again, but one truth remained clear: humans were unshaken. Resistance spreads. The outer colonies had survived the Dominion's first strike, and news of their defiance spread like wildfire. Reports flowed into the command center aboard the Starship Pioneer, where Captain Arya Cade and her crew monitored every signal. "Captain," Lieutenant Rian Cole said, eyes scanning the console. "The colonies are talking to each other. They're coordinating. They're learning from one another's tactics." Arya nodded, pride and determination mixing in her gaze. "Good. That's exactly what we need. Humanity survives not by waiting for orders, but by thinking, adapting, and working together." Elsewhere, the Dominion reeled. Battle Commander Zarnoth's fleet had returned to Dominion space, battered and confused. Reports emphasized a terrifying reality: humans did not fight like any other species. They were unpredictable, fearless, and unyielding. On the Pioneer, Arya addressed her crew. "The Dominion thought they could intimidate us. They were wrong. Every colony that resists strengthens the next one. Every act of defiance spreads courage. And courage is contagious." Colonies in the asteroid belt began sharing strategies. Mining vessels were outfitted to launch debris and improvised explosives. Cargo haulers trained for precision ramming. Even the smallest stations developed early warning systems and evasive maneuvers. Captain Arya's communications officer, Lila Tran, received a transmission from one of the outer colonies. The voice on the line was young but resolute. "Captain, we've managed to disable one of the Dominion scout ships using a mining vessel as a battering ram. We're ready to try the same with the others." Arya's eyes sparkled. "Excellent. Keep it coordinated. Every strike, every action, makes them second-guess their superiority." Back on Earth, Ambassador Owen Chen and Dr. Naomi Park followed the unfolding events with keen interest. They understood that human survival was not only about technology or numbers, it was about spirit. Every human who refused to bow, every colony that resisted, became a symbol of freedom. Even the Dominion could see the pattern. Inquisitor Velric reported to the hierarchs, his tone serious. "They are not just surviving, they are inspiring each other. Human resistance spreads faster than any Dominion fleet can contain it. They are learning from one another, adapting, and growing bolder with each encounter." Hierarch Vexnel's deep voice resonated through the council chamber. "We have never faced a species like this. They do not respond to fear, intimidation, or power. Their resistance strengthens them. This is alarming." Zarnotha's voice crackled over communications channels back at Dominion Command. "Commander, the colonies are no longer isolated. Their strategies are coordinated. They anticipate our moves before we even make them." Velric's 4 eyes narrowed. "This is exactly what I warned you about. Humans are not merely resilient, they are unbreakable. Every failed attempt at control teaches them, strengthens them, and spreads resistance across their space." Meanwhile, Captain Arya looked out at the stars from the bridge of the Pioneer. "The Dominion thinks they can crush us with fear," she said. "They don't understand how we fight. We survive not because we are stronger, they have more ships, more weapons, but because we refuse to submit. And the more they try to control us, the more united we become." Across the asteroid belt, human colonies began using relay signals to coordinate attacks, avoid traps, and protect civilians. Even unarmed stations contributed to the effort, their crews improvising defenses and creating obstacles that slowed Dominion advances. In one small colony, young miners constructed rudimentary drones to distract Dominion sensors. In another, engineers used magnetic fields to deflect incoming fire. Every effort, no matter how small, multiplied into a network of resistance that the Dominion had never faced before. Captain Arya convened a meeting with her senior officers. "We're doing more than surviving," she said. We're showing them that humanity cannot be controlled. We're teaching our colonies that fear is useless. Courage is contagious. Adaptation is unstoppable. And we're just getting started." The crew nodded, understanding the importance of their mission. Each colony that resisted was a victory, each act of ingenuity a strike against Dominion domination. Zarnoth, frustrated and humiliated by repeated failures, prepared a second strike. But even he could not ignore the truth. The humans were not frightened. They were learning. They were evolving tactics faster than his fleet could predict. Inquisitor Velric watched the developments with a mix of awe and concern. "They will not submit," he told the hierarchs. "They will not be intimidated. Every action we take only strengthens their resolve." Humanity's resistance spreads like a wildfire across the stars. Back on the Pioneer, Arya addressed her crew once more. "We are the spark that shows humans everywhere they can survive. They can resist, and they can thrive. The Dominion will try again, but we will be ready. Every human outpost, every colony, every ship is part of a larger network. And together we cannot be broken." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, filled with unknown dangers. But humanity was ready. Every act of defiance, every clever maneuver, every courageous human had created a chain reaction that the Dominion could not control. The resistance had spread, and with it, hope and determination, burned brighter than any weapon the Dominion possessed. The humans had survived the first clash. They were learning, adapting, and fighting back. And the Dominion, vast and powerful as it was beginning to understand that humanity was a force unlike any other. The galaxy had been quiet before. Now it would hear the echoes of defiance, shadows of rebellion. The Dominion had begun to see the truth. Humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. Reports of resistance spread across the Empire, reaching every warship, every outpost, every council chamber. Humans did not fight like the others. They were unpredictable, fearless, and unyielding. Inquisitor Velric watched the incoming messages from his observation post near human space. His 4 eyes scanned the data, noting every colony's defensive maneuver, every improvised tactic, every act of defiance. Even he, trained for centuries in analyzing species, could not find a weakness. "They adapt faster than we can predict," he said quietly. "Their resistance is no longer isolated, it's coordinated. Humanity is evolving under pressure, learning from every encounter." Battle Commander Zarnoth clenched his claws around the control console of his flagship. "They are primitive, yet every strike I make is countered. Every attack only strengthens them. How can a species survive so much with nothing but courage?" Velric stepped beside him, calm but firm. "Because they are human. They do not value safety above freedom. Threats do not break them, they make them stronger. Every colony, every mining outpost that survives becomes a beacon. Fear is their teacher, but it does not control them." Zarnoth growled low in frustration. "We can destroy worlds, Inquisitor. We can crush empires. Yet these humans, these insignificant creatures, refuse to submit." Velric's gaze was steady. "And that is precisely why they are dangerous. Not because of their ships or weapons or numbers, but because they cannot be intimidated, cannot be coerced, and cannot be broken by fear. Humanity is unpredictable." Across the galaxy, small skirmishes continued. Mining vessels collided with Dominion scouts. Debris clouds disrupted sensors. Entire stations were used as improvised weapons. The Dominion was powerful, but human creativity and courage outpaced their expectations. Captain Arya Cade watched reports from the Pioneer. "Every colony that resists strengthens the next one," she said. "Every act of defiance spreads courage. Humanity is not just surviving. It's teaching the Dominion that fear does not work." Lieutenant Rian Cole leaned over the tactical console. "Captain, it's spreading faster than we predicted. Even the neutral colonies are starting to fortify and coordinate. They're learning from us." Arya nodded. "That's how we win. Not by brute force, but by showing them that resistance is possible." Every human who refuses to bow becomes part of the chain. Back in the Dominion Council, the hierarchs debated furiously. Hierarch Vexnel's deep voice echoed through the chamber. This species is spreading rebellion faster than we can suppress it. Every failed strike emboldens them. How do we control a species that does not fear us? Hierarch Moeller, her crystalline body shimmering faintly, added, "Perhaps our methods are flawed. We rule through fear, but humans do not respond to fear. They thrive despite it. Every act of intimidation strengthens them." Zarnoth received another report from the outer colonies. The humans had begun using coordinated drone swarms, decoy stations, and magnetic disruptions. Every time Dominion forces adjusted their strategy, humans adapted within hours. "They are learning from us," Zarnoth shouted, frustration breaking through his usual calm. "They are evolving under fire." Velric placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. "Exactly. That is why they are dangerous. And they are human. Remember, humans have survived catastrophes on their own planet. Natural disasters, wars, plagues, and even near annihilation. Fear is familiar to them. They use it, but they are never controlled by it." On the Pioneer, Arya addressed her crew. "The Dominion thinks they can conquer with fear with overwhelming numbers. They cannot. Humans survive because we adapt, because we refuse to be broken. Every colony, every ship, every person who defies them spreads that truth. That is our greatest weapon." Meanwhile, small rebellions were forming across human colonies in the outer systems. Colonists who had once been miners or engineers were now fighters, using whatever they had to resist. Improvised weapons, clever tactics, and sheer courage became the tools of survival. Rita Hayes, now coordinating multiple colonies, floated through her command room. "We don't have their firepower," she told her team, "but we have what they cannot take away, our will to survive. That is enough." Captain Arya received a message from her communications officer, Lila Tran. "Captain, Dominion fleets are hesitating before entering human-controlled sectors. They are reassessing every move, afraid of what might happen." Arya smiled faintly. "Good. Let them hesitate. Every moment of hesitation is a victory. Humanity thrives when it is underestimated." Even within the Dominion, uncertainty grew. Hierarchs and commanders began questioning their strategies. Velric, alone in his observation post, noted the change with a mixture of awe and concern. Humans could not be broken by fear. They could not be controlled. They would not submit. "Humanity is a shadow that spreads," Velric said softly. "They are small, yet their resistance grows. They are the unshakable force no empire has ever faced." Captain Arya watched the stars ahead, the Pioneer moving steadily toward uncharted space. "The Dominion will strike again," she said. "But we are ready. Every human outpost, every colony, every person who refuses to bow strengthens us all. The shadow of rebellion is spreading, and there is no turning back." The galaxy had never seen a species like humanity. The Dominion had ruled countless civilizations with fear, coercion, and overwhelming force. But humans were different. They could not be intimidated. They could not be broken. They would always find a way to resist. And as the stars stretched endlessly ahead, one truth became clear. Humanity's rebellion was only beginning. Unshaken, the galaxy had never seen a species like humanity. From the distant asteroid colonies to the crowded cities of Earth, humans refused to bow, refused to yield, and refused to be broken. Every Dominion strike had failed, every attempt at intimidation had backfired, and every act of defiance had strengthened them. Captain Arya Cade stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, staring out at the stars. The fleet behind her was small but coordinated, a network of human colonies that had learned, adapted, and grown under fire. Every ship, every station, every human who resisted had become part of a larger force, united by one principle. Freedom was worth any risk. Lieutenant Rian Cole leaned over his console. "Captain, the Dominion is reorganizing. Reports say fleets are hesitant. They don't know what to expect from us next." Arya nodded. "Good. Let them hesitate. Every second they pause is a victory. Humanity survives because we refuse to be predictable, because we refuse to be afraid, and because we refuse to submit. Across the Dominion Empire, unease spread. Inquisitor Velric's 4 eyes scanned reports from multiple sectors. Humans had not only survived, they had adapted, coordinated, and taught one another to resist. Every failed strike became a lesson. Every victory, no matter how small, became an example for others to follow. The humans cannot be broken, Velric said softly to himself. They cannot be controlled. They are unshakable. In the capital of the Dominion, the 7 hierarchs convened. Deep in the crystalline council chamber, their voices echoed as they debated humanity's fate. We cannot dominate them, Hierarch Vexnal said. Every attempt only strengthens them. They adapt. They coordinate. They resist. Hierarch Molar's crystalline voice chimed in. Our methods fail. Fear does not control them. Threats do not bend them. Humanity is dangerous. They are not merely surviving. They are inspiring one another. The other hierarchs exchanged uneasy glances. No species had ever survived so many confrontations, so many threats, without breaking. Humans were unlike any civilization the Dominion had encountered. Meanwhile, Captain Arya received another transmission from Colony Administrator Rita Hayes. The young woman's face floated across the view screen, calm and resolute. Captain, the colonies have coordinated defenses ready across the outer systems. We've trained more crews, developed new tactics, and we are prepared for whatever they send next. Arya smiled. Excellent. Keep it coordinated. Every act of resistance strengthens the next. The Dominion may have power, but we have determination, ingenuity, and courage. And that is unstoppable. Even as Dominion fleets massed for a new strike, they hesitated. Their commanders had faced the impossible. A species that refused to be dominated. Zarnoth, once confident, now found himself questioning every assumption. Every encounter had proven humans could not be predicted, could not be intimidated, and could not be crushed. Back on the Pioneer, Arya addressed her crew. This is what we fight for. Every colony that survives, every human who refuses to surrender, becomes part of a force larger than any weapon or fleet. The Dominion may have fleets, weapons, and centuries of experience, but they do not have what we have: courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable will to remain free. Across the stars, humans continued to resist. Mining ships, cargo haulers, and even unarmed stations became instruments of survival. Small colonies became networks of resistance, sharing knowledge and strategies, learning from every encounter, and growing stronger. Velric observed it all in silence. Humanity's resilience was astonishing and terrifying. They were small, primitive, and seemingly fragile, but they were unshakable. No empire, no weapon, no threat could bend their spirit. Inquisitor Velric prepared his final report to the hierarchs. He wrote plainly, leaving no doubt: humanity cannot be conquered through fear. Threats strengthen them rather than weaken them. Resistance spreads rapidly, coordination improves, and courage multiplies. They are unshakable, unpredictable, and dangerous to any empire that seeks domination. The hierarchs read the report, silence filling the chamber. Never before had a species been assessed as both primitive and unbreakable. Humanity had proven that even against the mightiest empire, some spirits could never be tamed. On Earth, Ambassador Owen Chun and Dr. Naomi Park watched the stars with quiet pride. Humanity had faced the Dominion and survived, and not just survived, they had remained free. Captain Arya Cade looked out at the galaxy ahead. The human fleet moved steadily toward uncharted space, ready for the next challenge. She felt the weight of responsibility but also the pride of knowing that humans, wherever they were, had not bowed. Humanity is unshakable, she said softly to herself, and they will remain free, always. The Dominion may have ruled countless worlds, but the humans had crossed into their territory, defied them, and remained unbroken. The Empire faced a truth it could not ignore. Some species cannot be controlled, cannot be intimidated, and cannot be crushed. Humanity had survived the first clash. They had spread resistance across their colonies. They had taught themselves, learned from each other, and adapted to face an empire that had never met defiance like theirs. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, one certainty remained. Humanity was unshaken, and the galaxy would never forget it.